So, does anybody remember Shaman King? I used to read Shaman King in American Monthly Shonen Jump magazine all the time. The manga was in this weird middle ground area. It was definitely a successful series, spawning nearly 32 volumes and selling more than 30 million copies worldwide. But where I would put it over other anime of the time like Rave Masters and Zatch Bell, it wasn't really touching the success of other major series like Dragon Ball or Naruto in North America. And I don't think it really built up the same dedicated fan base and culture that shows like Yu Yu Hakusho ended up garnering. A part of that might have had something to do with 4Kids Entertainment handling the dub of this show, which would air regularly on their TV block. And as 4Kids was known to do, they made a lot of weird and unnecessary edits to the series, like changing the main antagonist's name from Hao to Zeke. Can't really say Zeke, sounds very menacing.
Losing his parents at a young age, Lyserg seeks revenge on the man responsible, Zeke.
And for some reason, those translation changes carry over to the games. Now, between 2004 and 2005, Konami developed 3 games released only in North America, looking to capitalize on the Shaman King brand. One was an RPG called Legacy of Spirits, which technically released in 2 versions, kind of like Pokemon, and 2 Shaman King games based heavily around their acclaimed Castlevania formula, Shaman King Master of Spirits and its sequel, Master of Spirits 2. Now, games from popular anime properties released in North America sounds weird, but this was actually a little bit more common in the old Wild West days of anime gaming, with games like the self-titled One Piece GBA game and Dragon Ball Z, The Legacy of Goku. In the year 2024, I would say Castlevania-inspired Metroidvanias have almost become kind of an oversaturated market. But back in like 2005, it was a little bit harder to find games that scratch that same itch. I don't want to sound like I'm a super fan, but I have been a fan of the Castlevania games for a very long time. I had all the Game Boy Advance games, bought all the Nintendo DS games back in the day, and beat Castlevania Symphony of the Night so many times. I even made a Game Boy Color game that was based around some of the speedruns of Richter mode from Symphony of the Night. And so I'm surprised a game like Shaman King Master of Spirits slipped under my radar for so long. Master of Spirits is clearly more in line with Aria of Sorrow than its other Castlevania games, which makes sense as Aria of Sorrow was released only a year before the first Master of Spirits game, and both of their sequels actually released in the same month, August of 2005. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow was unique to the franchise in that there was a spirit collection aspect to it, where there was a chance to collect new abilities when defeating enemies, which is not exactly the same way it works in the Master of Spirits game, but the idea that you're able to collect tons of different spirits that let you use special moves, some for navigation, some for battle, seems clearly pointed in that direction. You can map 2 special abilities to the left and right trigger on your Game Boy, with the ability to switch your loadout being just a quick press of a button, and this creates this fun loop where you're constantly trying to pair the best abilities together. For instance, I paired up the Footballer ability that rushes at enemies Wario style with the Mike ability, which lets you do a dash and high jump. This basically let me zip around the level and ram into enemies. And man, the gameplay feels just really good. I was impressed by how comfortable and fluid everything felt coming in as a Castlevania fan. It's not just a clone, it does have some differences and improvements. Something fairly unique is you have a multi-hit combo with your sword instead of your usual Castlevania one-hit swipe. This also combos well with a lot of your special moves, so you're really incentivized to chain them together. Hits on the enemy in Master of Spirits 2 also have a super satisfying effect to them. They really put a lot into the presentation for these games. Basically everything you'd expect from Castlevania is here, the short hops, the side steps, etc. Keep in mind though, some abilities are cooler and more useful than others. Stuff like the spirit ability that allows you to move boxes feels like a wasted ability, even though you need it to progress. It was just never that fun and engaging to use compared with more fun and useful navigation abilities like the dash or the super jump. I also think this game looks really good, and that's helped by a bit of inspired character and monster design. Don't get me wrong, they're your standard Castlevania looking skeletons that were probably pulled straight out of Harmony of Dissonance or something, but bosses and some of the heavier hitting normal enemies have really cool designs and attack patterns. Just the overall concept of Shaman King makes for a really great Castlevania stand-in. Both of these games use a world map system similar to Order Ecclesia on the Nintendo DS rather than one interconnected level. Backtracking is almost a staple of the Castlevania series post Symphony of the Night, but I'll admit having to go to the world map between every room breaks the flow a little bit. The map branches as well, so you're going to have to make decisions on routes that may involve having to backtrack, and in standard Metroidvania fashion, you're going to have to return to spots you've previously explored after acquiring new abilities to progress further. You do unlock fast travel later in the game, but backtracking is still annoying nonetheless. Even with the map somewhat simplified, you're probably also going to need a walkthrough or suffer through a few esoteric puzzles. I do wish there was an autosave system too, but that wasn't exactly standard practice back in the Game Boy Advance days. However, the older Castlevania games sort of helped enforce this in its gameplay design by having save rooms in between zones, and also needed for fast travel. Here it's very easy to forget to save, get crushed by a boss, and be forced to redo several rooms just to get back progress, and this happened to me several times. A part of me also wants to harp on some of the annoying game design aspects in this game, stuff like annoying water levels or parts of the level that you're expected to interact with but the game doesn't do a good job of highlighting. At one point I got lost in the factory levels because I didn't realize you could actually enter the doors, but at the same time a lot of these complaints such as backtracking are just elements that are staples to the Metroidvania genre. It'd be like complaining that you lose all your progress in a roguelite. Honestly, you can basically just treat this as a Castlevania game. In many respects, I would say these games are better than the first two Game Boy Advance Castlevania games, Circle of the Moon and Harmony of Dissonance. If you're a fan of Shaman King, Castlevania, or just have a Metroidvania itch, don't sleep on this game. It's easy to think these games would be trash, as a lot of licensed anime games on the Game Boy Advance aren't particularly stellar. But as games created by Konami, you can trust they got the Castlevania formula right here. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. My channel is primarily dedicated to Dragon Ball and gaming, but I also really love going through some of these older anime games from different franchises. If you enjoyed this video and want to see me play more of these games, feel free to like this video and maybe subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching and bye.